7, Android Studio Development, DineOut application, the Java code behind. So in this lab, what we're going to cover, we are going to mostly be covering the Java code behind. We do need to make a few changes to the XML that we created in the last lab 6. The overview is we're going to work on the main activity. We have to import some class imports, create some class level variables, and then we have many on-click methods to create for the buttons and all the checkboxes. Then from the new activities that we created for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, what we're going to do is put the code behind in there for the class imports, class level variables, our onCreate, and our onClick methods for all of them. So if we can do breakfast, we can pretty much do lunch, dinner, and snack. So it's kind of just a repetitious thing. All right, so let's start out and let's open up the MainActivity.java file. And we have to think about what classes we need to import. And the two that we're going to be working with are the Android View.View and the Android Widget.Checkbox. Okay, so I'm going to close down the XML, and now we have the Java code in front of us. So the two imports that we need to add, if we were to zoom in here, I added the view and the checkbox. Again, they're ghosted out because we're not using them yet, but we're getting set up to use them. All right, good. So we have the view and the checkbox. The next thing we need is our class level variables. Now, these are all Boolean types, and we're going to default them to a value of false. And the reason we're going to use these are for settings, so that depending on when things are clicked on, we're going to set those values so we know what the user has selected. So these are our class level variables that we need to add in for the restaurants and for the special food conditions. So right below where the public class definition is, I'm just going to add in the checkbox restaurant. So when they are clicked on, we'll know that. That's all these variables are going to hold, these class level variables, and then I have these special food conditions area. And they're all Booleans, all set to false for their initial value. Good. So the next thing that we need to do is set up some new onClick methods. Now, the onCreate, we don't have to modify anything in there. We'll leave that alone. But what we are going to do is inside of MainActivity.java, we're going to create some new methods for the onClick breakfast, onClick lunch, dinner, and snack that you're going to see. Okay, so let's go back. And again, just you could put it underneath. Let's see where we're at. Okay. You can just put it right underneath the onCreate in that space. That works well. So again, I'm going to just cut and paste in. Okay. And let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, so the first thing that I noticed, it looks like we need to include the intent. And this is going to allow us to create almost like a linkage into the new activity breakfast, and then we can pass all these values over so that it'll know which one we actually clicked on. All right, so the first thing would be to, it's saying that it can't resolve it, so I'm going to hit Alt-Enter, and that should take care of that for us. and it did. It added the content.intent at the top there. Oops. There we go. So we needed that class added, which I guess I forgot to put in the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, good. So that looks pretty good. And let's continue on. We'll do the lunch one next. Okay, so we have the on-click lunch, and that looks pretty good. Okay. And we want to make sure that the classes, the Java classes, match. Now, you could see here for this one, they're called breakfast activity. So if it doesn't match, that is going to cause a problem. If we were to open this up, we would see that the class is actually called breakfast activity, which is what we named it before. So let's go back to main activity, and instead of breakfast, we're going to call it breakfast activity, and that will get rid of that. We'll do the same for lunch. As long as you make sure that they match, you should be fine. And that's what's nice about inside here. If it shows up in red, then you know you've got a linkage problem. So now that it's called breakfast activity, right, that matches this particular class, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to start that activity. Same down here, we're going to start that activity, right? And notice I'm reusing this intent. Again, the reason I can do that is because within this code block here, intent, this object, only lives in the life of this code block. So by the time it leaves this code block here, that gets reclaimed because Java is a managed programming language. So that's why I'm able to create again. The put extra method, again, that's just we're just passing that over. It's kind of like a name value pair, and this is my name, and then this is my value, whether it's true or false. Did they actually has that checkbox been clicked on and checked? So that's the breakfast and the lunch. And what we need to do now is the next two, which would be dinner and snacks. Pretty much the same, follow the same operation. So, oops. Okay. So we have the dinner, and again, I need to add the word activity because when I created these, instead of just dinner, I decided to call them dinner activity, and that's the name of the class. All right, so we have one more of the on-click, and that is the snack. And remember, in the XML, we'll look at the XML, and I'll show you. But these on-click methods, dinner, snack, lunch, breakfast, we set those up. If we look in the main activity, you'll see when we click on those buttons, right here, on click lunch, on click dinner, on click snack, on click breakfast, that's what's happening. When we click on those, right, we are then actually executing this code block, on click breakfast, on click lunch. And we use the intent class to create a new intent object. Using that object, then we're able to pass all these variables across, because we want to know, did the user check on those, and what's their value? Are they true or are they false? We're going to pass those over to the breakfast activity or the lunch activity or the snack activity, because we're going to have logic in there that will handle that. Good. So we're still not done with the on clicks. We want to set up inside of main activity all these on click handlers for fast food, casual dining, cafe, diner, cafeteria, buffet, and bar. And then we're also going to do food, allergy, vegetarian, religious requirements, medical condition. And all that's really happening here is we're just checking to see, is it checked? And then what we do is using that, if it's checked, if that returns true, I'm just setting our variables that we created, these class level variables, so they can be passed over to the other activity. So it's not really, I put them all on one line just so it would be easy for everybody to see. And we're going to go down to the check bar. So let's go over. Okay, so underneath our snack area, I'm going to put in the on-click fast food, on-click casual dining, right? The cafe, diner, cafeteria, buffet, and bar. And all it's doing is just setting this to be either true or false, so that when we click on this, that we pass over those values so that we know. Good, so we need to continue on and actually do the rest of the checkboxes, which are vegetarian, religious is also needed, and the food allergy. So save your work so you don't lose anything. Okay, and let's take a look at it. Select it. And just make sure that you get everything. Make sure you've got the cafe, the diner, the cafeteria, the buffet, the bar, food allergies, vegetarian, right? And just make sure they're being set to the proper class level variables. Okay, so we just did all the food allergen, vegetarian, religious requirements, and medical conditions. And so we should be good to go. That's all of the MainActivity.java code that we need in the code behind for that particular activity. Now we need to work on the Breakfast.java. Now, again, I called it Breakfast.activity.java. Just make sure that you could do it either way, whether you create it as breakfast or breakfast activity. It doesn't really matter as long as everything matches. Okay, so we should have these activities created from the previous one. So I'm going to bounce over and we'll just take a look. And I do see all the activities are here and the code behind values are right behind it. So that looks good. So what we need to do then, let's open up the breakfastactivity.java. And here it is. Okay, and that looks pretty good. So what we need to do is we need to import the web view. The web view is going to be used over here to kind of embed a browser inside here so that it can actually display the page of the URL that we're going to pass through. So all we really need to do is add that import, and it's just an import Android WebKit web view. That's all we really need. So go up to the imports and we'll put in the WebKit web view. If you want, what you could do is just go through the dinner and you could put it in there. While you have it in the clipboard, what you could do is, get this, there we go. You could put in the import in all of them, because we're going to use that in breakfast, in dinner, in lunch. So just open them up and paste it in, and that'll make things a lot quicker when we're doing it. So just make sure all of the activities have that on there, except for main activity. So breakfast, dinner, lunch, and snack should all have Android WebKit WebView. Okay? All right, good. Now the next thing we need to do is add the WebView widget. When we did Lab 6, we didn't have that. All we really did was just kind of add the word breakfast to that activity, right? That's all we really did. We just wanted to make sure that it would jump over there when we tested it, when we clicked on the breakfast button. But now we're going to add a web view, and this is how it's going to pop up that particular web page. So make sure you give it an ID, make sure it's web view. We're using relative layout, so make sure you position it below the text view. So that should work out pretty well. So go back to Android, and let's go to breakfast and open up breakfast. Notice it just has our text view on there, and we're using a relative layout. So what we need to do is add in hold on for a sec. Okay, good. What we need to do is add in that web view. And again, in the interest of time, what we can do is we're going to be using this on all of them. Now, make sure that whatever you're tying this to, notice it says text view ID, and if we look up here, there is no ID on text view. So it's really important when you're doing this that you know, sometimes to give it an ID. So and this was actually the lunch, so I'm going to change that to be breakfast. Okay. Good. So we have the text view. That looks pretty good. And then we've got our web view. And there's not really anything too tricky. I'm giving it an ID. I tell it that it's below the text view, which it is. I center it horizontal, and I'm just kind of setting the margin top. Now what you can do, since this is the activity breakfast, you can go to the activity dinner, and we can pretty much do the same thing. Just make sure you change this to the dinner. And that looks good. Do the same for lunch. And that one looks good. And then for snack. And save your work. Okay, so we just modified snack, lunch, dinner, and breakfast. All we did was add a web view on those activities, and just make sure that everything matches. I noticed this one still says lunch, so it's always good to just kind of review your work when you're doing it, and make sure that you didn't miss anything, especially when you're cutting and pasting. All right, all looks good. Everything should be saved. Great. Okay, so we've added the web view to all of our activities. Let's move on. Now, inside that Breakfast.java file, what we need is those class level variables, just like we put on some of the other activities. And again, all the activities are going to have these class level variables that we're going to need, again, for the checkboxes. So once we put them in the Java file, we should be good for all of them, right? So open up the breakfast. We'll start with that one. Okay, so remember we're in the Java file now. So why don't we close these XML files down just so we don't get confused and do it by accident. So I'm inside the breakfast activity. All right, we need to add our class level. All right. and I added all the class level. I'm going to save it and just bounce over to dinner. And again, you could put in the class level variables for dinner, save it, go to lunch, class level variables, right? If you look at it, that's all we're doing. Pretty much the same ones, same layout as we did on the main activity. And then for the snacks, same thing. So just some quick cutting and pasting. We have it on all of our activities for breakfast, dinner, lunch, and snack. Okay, so that looks good. Now the next thing we need to do in the Breakfast.activity.java file is we have to work with the onCreate method. And what this is going to do, we're going to get those values from the intent. Remember, the main activity is going to pass these over, so when we create this activity, right, breakfast activity, we want to get those values, and since they're being sent over. So that's what we need to do, is kind of receive them so that we can see what the values are. All right, so we're working inside of the onCreate method. We've got to kind of keep that in mind as we're working. All right, so here is onCreate. So inside of onCreate, what we're doing is these, and let me just fix that. There we go. Okay. Okay, so we've got, these are going to be coming over from the intent from the activity main. When we click on the checkbox, it'll set the true or false, and we're going to use it to say get the intent, get the extras, which are kind of tacked on, and we're getting Boolean values, and then we're just placing it in our class level variables so that we know. We haven't done any logic on it yet, but that's the first order of business, is to receive those. So again, since we're going to be using these on all of the different ones, you could put it on snack, on breakfast. They're all the same. So you can go to dinner, inside the onCreate, paste that in, and inside of the lunch, and you can paste that in. Okay, so if we start out with breakfast, let's take a look. We have, this is the first column and the second column for the checkboxes for fast food, cafe, dinner, buffet, and bar, right? And then we have our allergen, vegetarian, religious, medical. Okay, so just make sure you have all those in there and that you have them in for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snack, and they all go inside of the onCreate method. Good. So the next area is we want to see what those checkboxes are, and then perform some logic on those. The first thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to use that web view. Remember, we created that web view on the XML, and we're going to create an object called web viewer. And what that web viewer is going to do is we're going to first try to find it on the UI and create this web viewer. And inside here, when we first want to clear the cache to start it fresh, and then we're going to load the URL based off whatever we hard code in here. So the first one, if they clicked on fast food, it's going to go to IHOP. If they clicked on cafe, it's going to go to Starbucks. If they clicked on diner, it's going to go to Denny's, right? So that's how we're going to lay this out. All right, so again, we're still in the onCreate. Now this is just for breakfast, so you could really change this up if you wanted to do something different, say for lunch. Okay, so we're in the onCreate. We're going to get from the intent what these values are from the checkboxes. Then from that, we're finding the web view that we put on the XML, and we have web views on all of the activities except for the main. And then we're going to try to kind of check the logic, see which one they checked on, and then hopefully open up that particular page. And let's kind of go over. Okay, so if they, and I think we have, let's see, yeah. So here is for lunch. If they click on, I think it was fast food. So if they click on lunch, right, and fast food, it goes to Burger King. All right. So let's do lunch now. Now for lunch, we already put in the web view, so we should be good there. And we have that, and we have all of our class level variables, and we should have added to get all the intent values from where we need it from main. Now, the only thing that's going to be different maybe is for lunch, you might want to send them to someplace different for lunch. And again, you could set that up so that they go to someplace different, which makes it kind of nice. All right, so let's do lunch. And the only thing that's really going to be different for lunch is going to be where we send them to. Okay, so let me open up lunch here, and we'll add that in. Okay, so open up lunch, and remember what we need is we need the web viewer, right? And then for fast food, for lunch, they're going to Burger King. For the cafe, again, Starbucks, Denny's, Panera, Old Country Buffet, right? And you could change these up. You could choose whatever you would like, but that's the ones that I chose. So that's lunch. So we have breakfast is done. We have lunch that is done. So we need dinner, which would be next. And again, you could choose whatever you would find interesting for dinner. I would always try to make sure that the page you hit is working first. So, you know, if you want to make sure you put the web viewer in there. If you want to go to, you know, say Denny's, make sure that, you know, that is indeed Denny's URL location. Okay, so that's dinner, and all we have one is left is snack. And for snack, I don't have too many. Again, you can kind of do what you want to do there. So we've got snacks going to, let's change it up here. So it's lunch, snack. Yeah, let's change it so that, there we go. Goes to Burger King for fast food. Let's just go through them again, make sure everybody, each one of the activities has what you need. It looks like breakfast. I was on the lunch one when I did it, so just make sure that you have it going everywhere you think you have it going. Okay, so the last one that we need for the web viewer. Again, I have it going to IHOP for fast food, Starbucks, Denny's, and Old Country Buffet, which I think they do all serve breakfast. Okay, so save your work and make sure everything is saved. Make sure you don't have any underlined in red or anything strange like that to run it. And let's see where we're at. And it's pretty much when you step through this, this is the dinner one. It's the same thing. Make sure you got the web view. Make sure you got your class level variables, all the same for each one. Again, get the intents. and set up your logic so that you can open up, and this one's actually open up McDonald's for fast food, right? And then your snack one, pretty much the same. So let's try to run it and see what happens, and hopefully we'll be successful. Okay. Starting up. All right, so unlock it, and we should see it pop up. All right, so let's choose fast food and breakfast. Let's go back. Let's try it again. Sometimes the emulator has a little difficulty. You also have to make sure that you have it set for so that it can get to the internet, and that's probably what our problem is. So hold on for a second. Let me add that so that we can do that. I think we might have forgotten that. Okay, so yes, the one thing that we forgot to add is the permissions that we need to add in the Android manifest.xml file. So open up, it's under app manifests, Android manifest.xml file, and inside of the manifest area, right below it, and we're still kind of inside it here, what you need to add is the uses permission. This is really important to add this, or you will not be able to basically give the application access to the internet. So when we clicked on the IHOP, or we really clicked on fast food, breakfast, and when it tried to get to the internet, it didn't have permission. So the device, the application needs those permissions. We need to tell it has those permissions so that it can use the device to get out to the internet. So once you add that, and I put that in the lecture notes here also, that you need to add that, it should work. So let's give it a shot and try to run the application. Make sure you save your work, and let's try to run it this time. Okay. Okay, so we'll click on fast food, breakfast. And we see IHOP appears. And we should be able to navigate around. Okay. Yeah, what I wanted to do was actually add the on the action bar. I wanted to add the back button there, or back arrow, so that when we jump over to the breakfast activity, that we could go back to the main activity. So to do this, we do need to add a little more coding. And what we need to do is in the on create for all of them, the breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, we just need to add 2 lines. And what that is we're going to create an action bar object and then tell it to set the display home as up enabled true. And then with that, what that'll allow us to do is we can go in and we can then set in the app manifest. Again, we have to go into that. The Android manifest. We can add what the parent activity name is. So for the lunch, for the dinner, and for the snack, and even for the breakfast, we can set those. We can set those up. So if we look at that right now, I'll go to the Android manifest and let's just check it out. I've got main activity defined right as the parent activity name. Same for lunch, same for dinner, and same for snack. So when we do show the arrow this way, it'll go back to our main activity. So just make sure for the project, go into the Android manifest, and all you have to do is add this this line, and again you can just cut and paste it in each one of the activities for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack. And also in the Java code, when we look at that, you can also cut and paste this. I'm just going to take it right from here, go to dinner, and put it in the dinner. All right. Okay, and lunch. Let's find lunch. And snack. I'm just adding the same thing, and there is an import it'll want to add, which you can see right here. It's the action bar and the action bar activity. So just let it put that in there, and all we did was we just added these two lines, which just give us that it allows us to have that back arrow button, because that's one of the problems when we start navigating. We want to be able to do that. So save all your work, and I have it running right now. So if I click on the back, it goes back, and oops, I forgot to make sure you choose something. So now I can click on breakfast, and should pop up IHOP, and now you can go back and forth between your intents with the action bar. So we just added that to the lecture, and you should be good. If you have any problems, let me know, and I'll try to help you out.